The Domestic Abuse Act brought with it, for the first time ever, a legal definition of domestic abuse, which covered the entire range of domestic abuse.
It was about people being controlled through their finances, in their workplaces, from not just people that they were currently living with, but also people who they had lived with.
So it really changed the script on domestic abuse, which is something I think should be applauded.
I think the Act, look, it's going to take a long time to change society 100%, but it certainly had a very, very powerful impact on me. And I think, public awareness for the very real crime that this is.
Something that was so powerful about the 2021 Domestic Abuse Act is, in the law, for the first time, it formally recognised children as victims of domestic abuse.
It really started to unpick and unravel why children matter.
As a child survivor of domestic abuse, I know the impact that it has and how important it is to make sure that children have a voice.
Part 4 of the Domestic Abuse Act makes a statutory duty on local authority areas to provide accommodation or refuge-based accommodation.
5 years on, we're still refusing the highest number of women into safe accommodation.
You can't prevent violence from happening if people can't flee.
Safe accommodation is not properly funded, and there is patchy support across all regions in our country. Domestic abuse is a public safety emergency.
We have to keep at this, given the rise of misogyny.
The Domestic Abuse Act was brilliant in many ways. However, it absolutely failed a really critical, really vulnerable cohort of women, those without recourse to public funds and migrant women.
Domestic abuse is not limited to any race, religion, or social class.
I think what needs to be prioritized now is making sure that the Domestic Abuse Act is fully implemented, full stop.
What needs to be prioritized now is ring-fenced, sustained funding for specialist services.
So I worked for a specialist domestic abuse organisation for many years. What I know is how important the right support at the right time is.
Education is needed from schools, colleges, homes.
So when I was a victim of domestic abuse, I was still at school. And I think that part of the reason that I stayed in that relationship for as long as I did was because I didn't really understand that what I was going through was domestic abuse.
We have to have much better education in schools. We have to really help our men and boys understand that, what good behaviours are, what good relationships look like.
There has to be an intervention at an earlier point so that they know what a healthy relationship looks like.
One of the things that we need to do is empower our incredible voluntary and community sector.
We wouldn't have most of our interventions for domestic abuse without the existence of the early pioneers of Women's Aid members.
Over its 50-year legacy, Women's Aid have supported countless survivors and helped pioneer legislative work in Parliament to make sure that survivors can truly get the support that they need.
This is my calling, and I feel very, very proud to stand up and be an ambassador for Women's Aid and have my sisterhood around me.
Collaborating with Women's Aid has genuinely been one of the biggest honours of my relatively short parliamentary career.
If I think about the reason that I ended up as an elected official, it is because the women at Women's Aid who I worked with saw the value of women like them seeking power and gaining it for all women.